If you're struggling to win on PrizePicks, this is the only strategy that you need to actually see some profit and to beat PrizePicks permanently. My name is Troy Cooks, I'm a professional sports bettor, and I've made over $200,000 on just PrizePicks alone. Now, I did this all without knowing the intricacies of the teams, different player names, and I certainly didn't spend hours and hours researching, these statistics and sweating my parlays sitting on the couch watching the NBA all night. Right? I did this all by using data, by using odds, and by comparing odds. Right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use these data-driven strategies to actually bring home profit on PrizePicks. So when you really think about it, what is the goal on PrizePicks? The goal is obviously, besides winning, is to pick the prop that has the highest chance of hitting. But how are we even supposed to know which props have a higher percent chance of hitting than others? A lot of times you guys think that just because there's only over and under to choose from, it's always going to be a 50-50 chance. You couldn't be more mistaken, right? PrizePicks has fixed payouts. So meaning no matter whether you take the over or the under, you're still going to get paid that stagnant amount. So 3x, 5x, 6x, 10x, whatever you're betting, it's going to be the same regardless of whether you take the over or the under. Versus a sportsbook or a traditional sportsbook, right? The over or the under will generally have variable payouts, which means they pay you at different rates and different percentages and different multipliers based on what's more likely to hit or what's least or less likely to hit. So when you're on PrizePicks, you always want to think which one is giving you the best edge. Because PrizePicks is a double-edged sword. These stagnant payouts, these fixed payouts can either work to your advantage or majority of the time, they'll work towards PrizePicks' advantage. Because a lot of you guys don't know how to actually take advantage of fixed payouts. So, like I said before, a lot of these props aren't 50-50 and PrizePicks is playing you at a disadvantage. I'm going to show you guys a quick example of how you can tell which lines are actually 50-50 and which lines are better for you to take. Let's switch over to the computer real quick. Alright, so this probably brings up the question of how are you supposed to know which props are more profitable or which props have a higher chance of hitting. Now we're going to be using a very simple strategy called line comparison or line shopping. Now what this is essentially just comparing the lines on PrizePicks to a sharp sportsbook. Now the reason we do this is because every sharp sports bettor, every profitable sports bettor is comparing lines in order to see where PrizePicks messed up or where PrizePicks is offering us, value, where they have their lines mispriced. So for example, right, we have RJ Davis's 7.5 rebounds and assists. Now I chose this prop specifically because I already know that we're getting a clear advantage and this is mispriced on PrizePicks. How do I know? Is by comparing it on FanDuel. FanDuel is the United States' most popular and biggest sportsbook. So when we go over to FanDuel, right, we look up RJ Davis's rebounds and assists and we scroll down a little bit and we see that his over and his under are both a 7.5, but there's slight juice on the over, right? This means that they think, or FanDuel thinks, that it's more likely for RJ Davis to go over his 7.5 line compared to his under 7.5 line. Now, just because, there's two different numbers, how are you supposed to read that? In order to get the absolute or the true odds or the true probability, right, to convert this into kind of percentages in an easier to explain way, right, we can go over to the OddsJam no-vig calculator. I'll leave a link to it in my bio as well. All you need to do here is put in the values of the odds and it will tell you the exact percentage or the probability it has of hitting. So RJ Davis's over 7.5 has a 53% chance of hitting compared to the under a 46.9% chance. Now, like I said on PrizePicks, because it's fixed payout, you can choose more or less and still get paid the same amount. We're clearly going to pick the over here because of the juice and the edge that we have, that 3% juice. Alright guys, and that's going to bring me to my most important topic of this video, is the concept of break-even odds or implied percentages. If you didn't know, like I already mentioned before, PrizePicks is a fixed payout system, meaning that no matter whether you take the over or under, you're going to get paid the same exact amount. Therefore, there are optimal and non-optimal types of slips to play on PrizePicks. Some are more profitable than the others, and you'll see what I mean in a second here. On the chart on my screen over here, it's going to be on your screen right here, is every single type of slip that you can play on PrizePicks. From the 2 power, the 3 power, all the way down to the 5 and 6 flex. Now you'll see the percentages on the side, which we'll get to what they mean in a second. So the 2 power, the break-even odds or the implied percentage is going to be 57.74%. This means that you need to hit your individual props at a 57.74% hit rate in order to break even in the long run. Similarly, with the 3 power and the 3 flex, you have insane percentages at 58 to 59, almost at 60%. Like I just said before, you need to hit your props at a 60% hit rate in order to, profit from these type of slips. So the 3 power and the 3 flex are the worst type of slips that you can play on PrizePicks, right? You're getting paid a 5x when on an app like Underdog, you'll get paid 6x for a 3 leg. So long story short, if you ever see someone running a 3 power or 3 flex and they claim that they know what they're doing or they're selling picks or whatever, block them, because this is the most unprofitable type of slip on PrizePicks, and I have no idea why it's still even an option for users to play. Going forward, we have the 4 power and the 4 flex at 56.23% and 56.89%. Very similar percentages in terms of, you know, the break-even odds, but there's really no reason to play the 4 flex, right? The 4 power, you can use strategy like correlation, and if you don't know what correlation is, I'll make another video going more in depth, but long story short, it's when 2 plays correlate with each other. It's essentially like if a quarterback, you're taking his over on his passing yards, you will take his wide receivers, you know, over on receiving yards. That's a correlated play. So you have those percentages there for the 4 power and the 4 flex. But moving on, finally, is our most profitable and our most optimal type of slip, the 5 and 6 flex, right? Because you have a bunch of leeway here at 54.34% of implied odds or implied percentages, right? Like you only need to hit your individual props over 54.34% times to be profitable in the long term. Now, a lot of people often get confused because they think, oh, a 2-leg is a lot easier to hit and you have higher odds of hitting a 2-leg than hitting a 5 or 6 flex. But using line comparison, using these data-driven strategies, that is false. In the long term, long way down the line, it's a lot easier and a lot more profitable to be, you know, make money and to actually win off 5 and 6 leg parlays. With the 54.34% implied odds, break-even odds, it just gives you, you know, a lot more room and a lot more, you know, leeway to profit. So long story short, the only types of slips that you should be running on PrizePicks is the 4 power and the 5 or 6 flex. I mean, you'll get away with an occasional 2 power if you can get high enough, you know, implied percentages, but you're majority gonna see people run 5 or 6 flex. Like majority of profitable sports bettors will tell you to only run 5 or 6 leg, you know, parlays on PrizePicks because they are the most profitable and the easiest to profit in the long term. Alright guys, and that's going to wrap up my PrizePicks sports betting strategy and how I actually made $200,000 from PrizePicks alone. Now, if this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for future episodes. But before we do end this video off, I wanted to announce that OddsJam is doing a special 7-day free trial. And all you need to do to get access to it is click the link in my description, and once that trial is over, you can also use code JC35. They hooked me up with the discount code just for you guys, 35% off your first purchase. The arbitrage tool, EV tool, fantasy optimizer, you could get all of it for 35% off and try it all out with the 7-day free trial just by clicking the link in the description. So with that being said, turn your notification bells on, comment what you want to see in the next video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.